One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Jay Moran. Jay is the Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Southern Connecticut State University. Greetings, Jay. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you, Ty?
I'm doing real good. I'm happy you're on today. Now, Jay, you are in your fifth year as the athletics director there at Southern Connecticut State. Of course, you were previously the athletics director at University of Bridgeport, and you spent some time at Albertus Magnus College. Your total time in college athletics is 28 years. You have 30 years in sports in general with a couple of years there in high school. And this is also your third term as mayor of the town of Manchester. Manchester is roughly 45 miles away. And overall, you've been in a leadership role in that town for nearly 11 years. Can you tell us about how you got involved in politics and the leadership in the town of Manchester?
Well, I have 4 children. My youngest daughter passed away 12 years ago to rare disease, and my community was so involved, my church, our school system, our neighbors, our friends and family, and the whole town of Manchester embraced her 6.5 years as she struggled through life. And a few years after she passed away, I just felt like it was a calling to run and give back to my community. So I ran for the Board of Education, which was the schools were so good, and put my daughter in the same school as my older children. And so that was my way of giving back. So that's where it started. And I never got in this to get a title. And, I went from there to the Board of Directors, which is our local town council. Mm-hmm. Did that for a couple of years, and I became deputy mayor for a term, 2 years, and then about 8 months into that term, I became mayor when the mayor became a judge, and then I was elected twice as mayor, so I'm in my third term, and I have 2 cell phones. I have 2 administrative assistants. I'm up early checking emails before work with the town, and doing things afterwards. And college athletics was crazy. Today I started my day bagging groceries at a shop right in town. They were bagging for hunger, and they're bringing the chiefs and myself and raise money for hunger. And now I'm down at Southern Connecticut at work and getting ready for a Hall of Fame meeting, followed by the president's address and a field hockey game and a soccer game tonight. And then tomorrow I'll get up and go over to the local high school and speak at a class on community stuff and go to work and then go back and do some police awards tonight. So that's my next 48 hours. So you see I'm busy. But in between all that, I'm checking emails and voicemails and working with both my administrative assistants. Unfortunately, I have a full-time general manager that runs the town on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So it's a busy life, and I have a great staff here at Southern Connecticut State University. I love my day job still. So I love college athletics. But I love being mayor, too. It's 2 jobs that I get to do. But I balance and realize that my job at Southern is the most important thing that actually pays the groceries. And the mayor's job it pays $3,000 a year, to be honest with you. So there's been a few times in my career I've gone back and forth from either Bridgeport or New Haven twice in one day, but I try not to do that. It's a lot of miles on the highway. But so I just learned to balance and put my priorities in place. And I have to remember my wife and my older children too, and say hello to them every once in a while.
Right. It's a pretty amazing life there, and it's the way it sounds. The passion you have about both of them actually sounds like the people appreciate you doing a great job. And you said you have it's a town manager. Was it general manager?
It's a general manager. Yeah, he makes a lot more money than mayor, even though he reports to the mayor.
But I assume that you lean heavily on that person.
Yeah. He's the day-to-day operations, and I'm the policymaker and the scary as it sounds, the face of Manchester. I might scare some people with that face, but I cut the ribbons. I do all the public speaking and all the big events, and just get out and promote. Some people say I'm the big cheerleader for Manchester, Connecticut, and I love promoting my community. I think we have great schools, great businesses, great churches, and just overall great people working together to make it through in this day and age.
How do you balance the accessibility when needed by your athletic staff or by the employees of the city, like the general manager that you mentioned? I mean, I'm sure they probably work together in terms of making sure your schedule is set and just when you're needed. You mentioned you have 2 cell phones, you're checking emails every morning and checking your calendar. Tell me about how you balance the accessibility when you're needed by both.
I spend every morning balancing, checking my calendar because, I don't want to miss something. But I prioritize. I try to avoid things in Manchester in the middle of the day because it's crazy to go down to New Haven and come back up to Manchester.
Right.
I do have personal time and vacation times that I use sometimes when I think it's really important to be in town. And obviously, if there was an emergency, I'd go back to town. And I use my days and hours that I earn correctly. And yeah, I do have passion. I love them both. They're great people jobs. I get to meet a lot of good people, Ty. I've been working around college athletics as a coach and administrator for almost 30 years, and the other 2 years was in high school, raising money and working in development there. But it's just, watching young people grow from young men and women to actually into adults is amazing. And even the political world, being the mayor, I love, going to the schools, seeing the smile on a kid's face. Nothing better than a special needs child that smiles and makes your day, or
Right.
talking to that senior that you just wants you to tell you that you're doing a good job and don't care what political party you're in. And so it's all about people in my life and giving back. And I learned that from my mom and dad who give to the community, and my wife is involved as a teacher in town. So it's all about people to me.
Right. Well, I wonder about, emergency management, right? Emergency management, communication, reporting lines. If some unforeseen event had to happen where it's big enough to where you almost need to be in both places, what kind of processes you have in place, where that distance, it's 45 miles between the two, may affect the things you do on both places?
Yeah, I worry about, as a mayor, I mean, obviously in this day and age, I worry about schools and, hopefully we're not that next school if something crazy happens, and just know that there's people there running the day-to-day operations, and hopefully when I get there, they have it under control, and, let the police do their work, let the fire do their work, let the general manager do his work. And, I just, be supportive if I have to get home, and, have a staff back here that can handle things. So, and a boss here that knows that I love doing both jobs. So, hopefully, and those situations happen. Usually when something happens in Manchester, I'm going away for the weekend. We had, and if the general manager calls me and I'm away, I know something is worth calling me about. Yeah, and then because what happens is if there's newscast on, or if the newscast is in town, or that there's state police around, the people are calling my phone and we're going, what's going on? So the general manager he makes sure that I know before I hear it from him. It could be on TV or on social media before I even know about it. For instance, we had a fight at a school years ago. My kids were, I knew what was going on. I called town hall, and the general manager didn't know because the kids were inside texting their parents, telling them what's going on. So it's that social media world and the technology we have today that when something happens, it's out there in the world. And I like to win games. I like to win games as an athletic director. I like to win. So,
well, that's along the lines of the last question here. I know you got to get going. Being a fan, right? The town of Manchester, they've elected you as mayor 3 times. So are they fans of Southern Connecticut State University? I mean, they like you enough. They like your leadership. I would imagine they're fans of what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing. Whenever, when I first started, as mayor, I was at the University of Bridgeport still, and I'm now at Southern. It's like people know where their schools are because, when I mention as mayor, it mentions I work at Southern Connecticut. So it's a way of promoting the schools. So I think people are following it closely. I mean, we live in a state where UConn is the most popular team in the state. And I went to UConn. My kids went to UConn, and my wife went to UConn. So I'm a big UConn fan, but I'm a bigger Southern Connecticut fan. I'm more loyal to my paycheck.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a way of, there are many events where I'm, in the summertime, I'm in a Southern Connecticut polo as the mayor, so I guess I am promoting both at the same time and taking advantage of it because it's nicer to be in a polo shirt and shorts than that suit and tie. So whenever I can promote my school and my student athletes, I do everything I can, and whenever I can promote my town. So yeah, again, Ty, I have a great passion for life and people, and both jobs are a great part of that. And I wake up every day enjoying what I'm doing. There are days when I'm tired, and there are days I'm dealing with stuff as an athletic director. But there's also days where the political world gets ugly, and going, why do I do this? And then you realize, someone says, hey, you're doing a good job, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So I just keep plugging along, and that's my life. As crazy as it is, it's a fun life.
Well, Jay, you mentioned that you didn't get to the politics world to get a title. You're just giving back to the town there. And like I know, leadership does not go unnoticed. And that's why, or probably would like to say that's why you're the mayor now in your third term.
Well, I appreciate that, Ty. And come to Manchester. We'll give you a nice, I don't know if you eat meat. We have good cheeseburgers. If you don't, I'll find a nice vegetable somewhere. But
I may take you up on that. And I really appreciate what you said. You have a passion for life and people. And I really want to thank you for joining us here on One Question.
Well, thank you for your time.
That was Jay Moran. He's in his 5th year as Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Southern Connecticut State University, and he's also the mayor of the town of Manchester. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.